Okay, you have definitely seen the wild images, you've probably read articles written by AI, and you have for sure heard the term generative AI a million times by now. It's everywhere, and it's changing things fast. But how does it actually work? In this explainer, we're going to pull back the curtain on what's really going on with one of the most powerful technologies out there today. All right, let's get into it. To really wrap our heads around this, let's start with a kind of mind-bending question. What if a machine could do more than just crunch numbers and analyze data we feed it? What if it could actually imagine, create something totally new all on its own? That jump, right there, from just calculating to actually creating, that's the whole ballgame. So what is the big idea here? Well, imagine an artist who has studied every single painting ever made. They're not just copying what they've seen. No, they're absorbing it all. The styles, the brushstrokes, the feelings, and then they use all that knowledge to paint a brand new masterpiece. Generative AI is kind of like that artist. Its museum is all the data in the world, and it can paint with words, with code, with images, with sound, you name it. Now, to really get why generative AI is such a big deal, we kind of need to see where it fits in. It didn't just pop up out of thin air. So let's take a quick look at the AI family tree to understand its roots. So at the very top, you've got the big one, artificial intelligence, or AI. And this isn't just one single thing. It's a huge field of study, just like biology or physics. The grand goal of AI has always been to build machines that can do things that usually require human smarts, like reasoning, learning, and solving problems. Okay, so tucked inside that giant field of AI is machine learning. And this is where the magic really starts to happen. Think about it, how you teach a kid what a dog is. You don't give them a long list of rules, right? You don't say it has 4 legs and fur and a tail. You just show them a bunch of pictures of dogs over and over. Eventually, their brain just gets the pattern. Machine learning is basically that, but for computers. It learns from examples to make predictions about things it's never even seen before. And what's really cool is there are 2 main ways these systems learn. On the left, you have supervised learning. This is like studying for a test with flashcards that have the answers on the back. You give the AI data that's already labeled, like old restaurant bills with a tip amount already included, so it can learn to predict a specific thing. But on the right, you've got unsupervised learning. That is pure discovery. You just dump a massive pile of raw data in front of it and say, go find something interesting. And it does. It finds hidden patterns all by itself, like grouping employees into different clusters you never knew existed. And that brings us to the engine that's powering all the crazy AI stuff we see today, deep learning. It's basically machine learning on steroids. It uses these things called artificial neural networks, which are, loosely inspired by our own brains. You can think of them as layers and layers of digital neurons. Each layer gets really good at spotting one part of a pattern, and together they can recognize incredibly complex things, way more than we could ever program by hand. Okay, so we've got that foundation down, and now we can get to the really key idea, the big split that separates generative AI from everything else. See, in the world of deep learning, you can think of AI models as having 2 totally different jobs. One is like a super strict judge, and the other is a free-spirited artist. And this slide just nails that difference. For years, most of the AI we've interacted with has been discriminative. It's the judge. Its whole job is to look at something and make a decision. Is this email spam or not spam? Is that a photo of a cat or a dog? The output is just a simple label. But a generative model, that's the artist. You don't ask it to judge something, you ask it to create something. You say, generate a picture of a dog, and what you get back isn't a yes or no. It's a brand new, totally original piece of content. If you want to think about it with some super simple math, it all comes down to this. You give the AI an input, X, and it gives you an output, Y. Here's the key. If that output, Y, is just a number or a category, like spam, it's not generative AI. But if that output is something new, a sentence, an image, a song, a few lines of code, that's when you know you're dealing with a generative model. So the big question is, how in the world does an artist AI actually learn to create? I mean, how does it go from looking at a million photos to making a new one that has never existed? The whole secret is that it becomes an absolute master of patterns. This timeline really puts the whole evolution in perspective. Back in the day, with old school programming, we had to write every single rule by hand. A cat has pointy ears, a cat has whiskers, and so on. It was tedious. Then neural networks came along and we could just show the machine thousands of cat pictures and it learned to predict, yep, that's a cat. But now with generative AI, we've made this huge leap. We don't ask it to predict anymore. We just give it a prompt and it generates a totally new cat based on its deep understanding of what makes a cat a cat. Here is a perfect, super simple way to think about it. If you see this sentence, I'm making a sandwich with peanut butter and your brain just instantly fills in the blank. Jelly, or maybe fluff. Why? Because you've seen that pattern thousands of times. A large language model does the exact same thing, but on an absolutely massive scale. After it's read like a huge chunk of the internet, it gets unbelievably good at predicting the next most likely word, or the next pixel in an image, or the next note in a song. It is a pattern-completing machine on a level we can barely comprehend. So we've got these incredible artist models that are masters of patterns. But how do we tell them what kind of art we want them to make? Well, that's where we come in. And our main tool for talking to this new kind of artist is the prompt. A prompt is really just your set of instructions. It's you telling the AI what to do. And honestly, learning how to write good prompts is quickly becoming a whole new skill. A great prompt is like giving crystal clear directions to a master chef. The more detailed and creative you are with your request, the more amazing the final dish is going to be. And once you get the hang of writing good prompts, you unlock this entire menu of creative powers. We can go from text to, well, more text, like for translation or summarizing a long article. We can go from a single sentence to a photorealistic image. And this menu is getting longer every single day. Now we're talking video, 3D models for video games, and even AIs that can complete tasks for you around the web. It's wild. And look, this is not just some futuristic fantasy. This is a real practical toolbox that people are using right now to solve actual problems and build incredible things. Let's look at a fantastic example for anyone who writes computer code. I mean, look at how simple this makes things. Instead of spending an hour digging through some dense technical website, you just describe what you want to do in plain English. The model gets it, and just like that, it writes the exact code you need. Then you can just export it and run it. What used to be a major roadblock is now just a simple 3-step conversation. And it's so much more than just writing new code. It's like having a senior developer sitting next to you 24/7. It can find bugs in your code, it can explain a confusing part line by line, it can translate code from one programming language to another, it can even write the documentation for your projects. It's an unbelievable productivity booster. And so, this is where we land. We've seen that generative AI is this massive shift, from AI as a judge to AI as a creator. It's not just another tool, it's a new creative partner. And that leaves us with this huge, fascinating question to think about. When the machine becomes the artist, what does our role in the act of creation become?